bringing news from a different page. Truth served hot and bold and strong. Every week we sing along. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Stories that make you think and pray. A light awaits at the end of day. Guided by the stars and stripes, through the stormiest of nights. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. When the world feels like a fight, hold your ground, stand for what's right. In the truth we'll find our way. Ed and Ronnie light the way. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Red, white, and true will stand tall. Echo the call loudest of all. With hearts of faith and liberty, together we find unity. Together we find unity.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie, and the show starts right now.
All right, everyone. It is good. You don't know how good it is to be with you tonight here on Red, White, and True. Red, White, and
Absolutely.
True. So, why are we so happy about being here tonight, Ronnie?
Well, because we didn't do it Tuesday, we couldn't do it last night, and now we're finally live.
So, Tuesday, your mom was in the hospital,
Mhm.
and we chose to hold off Tuesday night. What went on yesterday?
Oh, well, apparently Mother Nature gave us the middle finger or something, but we finally got power back. My prayers and thoughts are with people who don't have it because it's pretty bad.
Well, normally on Thursday nights at this time, we are in the midst of Bible study for the Father's house. And because of, we had 3 families at least that didn't have power for probably over 20 hours, getting close to 24. And, you know, that meant tough sleeping conditions. If there was any sleeping, people concerned about their food in their fridge and their freezers. And so we decided not to do Bible study tonight. In addition, you know, your mom is still recuperating. So that we actually, I'll tell on ourselves here. We were going to pre-record
Yep.
when we thought that there was going to be Bible study, because we planned on being on here tonight any way that we could. And that's because we love doing this so much. And I know, and this is going to sound arrogant. So for all of you people that hate us, you can go ahead and say it. This is going to sound arrogant, but I know that there are people that depend on us and our views of what's going on to stay informed. I mean, there was a study that was done this week. The study wasn't about Ronnie and I, but that more and more people are turning off the news channels and getting their news from this type of environment. And so we take seriously what we do. We take pride in trying to bring what we think is important for you to hear, and to do it with integrity, and just, as I say in my prayer, to say and do the right thing. That's our prayer every week before we go on the air, is included, that God would help us say and do the right thing. If it's not the right thing, I want God to wipe that out of my thoughts. I want him to wipe it out of my mind, in my mouth. And I know Ronnie feels the same way.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to play a short video. I don't know. It's about a little over it's only a few seconds, about 20 seconds. Jimmy Swaggart, who has been an evangelist for seems like 100 years, and he is down to his last days, minus a miracle from the Lord. He's 92, I believe. But I think Jimmy Swaggart is a great example of what God can do in a person's life. Jimmy Swaggart had one of the hugest followings for any evangelist probably in the history of America. And then he fell to sin. And he's no different than any of us. We're all tempted, and he gave in. And people wanted to write him off, but God knows how to restore us. And I can speak from experience in my own life. God knows how to restore those that are in his service. And Jimmy Swaggart made a comeback, and not to the level he was before, but let's just listen to this prayer for Jimmy Swaggart. You know, being in work in the ministry isn't the easiest thing in the world. I know a lot of people think, well, you get up and you go to church on Sunday and you preach a sermon, and if it was only that easy, everybody would be trying to do it. First of all, it's a calling. I consider that I have a calling on my life from God. And this kind of rolls into the Michael Tate issue. And I've been meaning to record a video, and things have gone on and not been able to do that. And I'm still going to do it. Michael Tate fell, and he fell to sin, and he fell hard. And I've got a lot of opinions on that and a lot of thoughts that I want to share. But at the end, I pray that Michael Tate is able to be restored, not necessarily in his ministry, but restored in his relationship with God. So with that, let's move on. We have a new fan on the show, and wanted to share this fan, if I can find him. I just played him for Ronnie just a minute ago. And get this, Ronnie, I tried to organize my clips at the top.
Yeah.
And very first time I try to go to one, I can't find it. Here, it's not, I didn't organize it yet.
I stay updated by watching Ed and Ronnie.
Smart
So,
man.
you know, there you go. We have people that like us, and we have people who hate us, and we even have some trolls.
Yeah, you know who needs to shut up? Ed and Ronnie and that red, white, and true bullcrap. Okay, time for you to go, troll.
Don't like him.
Yeah, we don't like him, even though he's good for business, really.
Yeah.
Because I figure if you got really good trolls, that means there's something that they're trolling you for. So, but with all seriousness, there are so many things that are going on in the world that it's hard to keep track of what's the most important thing. Well, they're all important. It doesn't matter what's the most important. But I want to start with what's going on in Israel and Iran. Oh my.
Here are your hosts, Ed and Ronnie.
So much has gone on in a week. I mean, I think it was 7 days ago, 6 or 7 days ago, that Israel started bombing. And wow, Ronnie, what a week that has gone on.
And it just keeps getting worse. I've got a couple here I wanted to share. These are fairly new. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but Iran has tried to assassinate President Trump twice. And here's Benjamin Netanyahu talking about it.
You just said Iran tried to assassinate President Trump twice. Do you have intel that the assassination attempts on President Trump were directly from Iran?
Through proxies, yes. Through their intel, yes. They want to kill him. Look, he's enemy number one. He's a decisive leader. He never took the path that others took to try to bargain with him in a way that is weak, giving them basically a pathway to enrich uranium, which means a pathway to the bomb. So for them, he's enemy number one.
Yeah.
Look, they also tried to kill me, but I'm his junior partner.
And
That's serious right there.
Well, yeah, it is serious. And they actually hit Netanyahu's one of his homes. He wasn't there at the time. So kind of means that they aren't the greatest at, Israel wipes out their leadership.
Yeah.
Sometimes they wipe out their leadership and they replace that person and they wipe that person out 4 days later. So I'm not sure how Iran gets anybody to say, yes, they will take that dead person's place, because Israel has proved that
they know it's not going to turn out well for them.
it doesn't. And there is, let me explain the difference between Israel and Iran. Israel planned on striking military installations in Tehran. And what did Israel do before that? They informed the people of Tehran, and in specific neighborhoods where they were going to target, that they needed to get out. This is your warning. This is your opportunity. We're going to bomb this area. And if you're here, you will probably get killed. And I've seen pictures of long lines of traffic exiting Tehran. It looks like one of our interstates, and there's like handful of cars going one direction and bumper to bumper traffic going the other direction out of Tehran. So that's how Israel does it. Iran targets hospital and civilian areas. Now, I'm pretty sure, I hate it when I have to think like a liberal, but I'm pretty sure if a liberal heard that, they would say, well, that serves them right for how many hospitals they bombed in Gaza. Well, here is the deal with that.
We got to talk about the hospitals in Gaza.
We do. Let's just continue with this because it all wraps in together. The hospitals in Gaza are in no way innocent. And as they had done in many situations, I can't confirm that they did in every single situation, but they warned in advance what they were going to do, which is unprecedented in the history of warfare, to say, we're coming and we're bombing this area or this hospital or this section before. I mean, the element of surprise is a huge thing in war. Am I right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It's everything in
And
war. It's everything in anything. I mean, even SWAT has stealth or dynamic entries. Stealth is probably your best bet.
And so that's the difference between Iran and Israel. People forget or conveniently forget or don't care the great lengths that Israel has gone to protect civilians. And all of these numbers that come up, and who knows if they're true, if they came from Gaza Health Ministry, it's almost guaranteed that they're not true. But the numbers would have been significantly higher if Israel would have done warfare the way it's been done since the beginning of time.
Yeah, that's just the rules of engagement.
And I've heard, I can't tell you how many times, whether it be on TV in Israel with Yair and Monty, them talking about their moral compass on doing that, or if it was even, I heard like the spokesman for the IDF talking in an interview, not just giving a briefing, but they were interviewing him, and he talked about that. Morally, we feel obligated to do that. And I'm thinking, it doesn't matter what they say. The people that are against them are going to be against them.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Israel knows that, and they still do the right thing. They know that nobody's going to give them credit for advance notification, they probably lost some of their own troops because of giving those notifications in advance. And still they do that.
I'll be right back. I got to lock this dog up or he won't shut up. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, in saying all of that, it was interesting that all of the people who were upset about hospitals in Gaza being bombed, not being upset that the hospital in Israel was bombed. Isn't that just coincidental? The people that yell about Israel doing things are totally silent when it comes to that happening to Israel. That's what you need to know about liberals. I told you the difference between Israel and Iran, and the difference in this case, liberals screamed their head off about hospitals in Gaza, been totally quiet this week when the hospital in Israel was taken care of.
I've got something that liberals' views on Iran will boil your blood.
Let's not do that, because if we start with that, we have been known in this country to tie gay folks to the car. It is the same.
No, it's not. The year 2025 in the United States is nothing like if I step foot wearing this outfit in Toronto.
Killed for I'm sorry.
What, they wear like a running out? No, I can't have my hair showing. I can't wear a skirt. I can't have my arms
Understood.
out.
I'm telling you, as
I literally said it was up to the Iranian people.
Yes,
it is up to
and
them.
that's why I am saying that it is the same. Murdering someone for their difference is not good, whoever does it.
It's very different to live in the United States in 2025 than it is to live in Iran.
Not if you're black.
Not for everybody.
Not if you're black.
Guys, don't go to...
I couldn't take any more, so I stopped it. What all that squawking is the woman on one end was saying, if you're gay and you're in Iran, they will throw you off the top of a building. And what Whoopi Goldberg on the other end of the table was saying is, it's just as bad in America. Well, I don't know any homosexuals that were thrown off roofs in America. That might have happened a few times, but what's really happening in Iran is it's happening all the time. That is their thing. The huge differences. So, that's how liberal Whoopi Goldberg sees it, is living in Iran is the same thing as being black in America.
Well, I had seen articles about that. That's the first time I have seen the video. And I'm thinking, you have to be a special kind of stupid to compare blacks living in America in 2025 with anything in Iran.
Yeah. And
it doesn't have to be gay people in Iran. What about Christians in Iran? What about people that are just against the regime in Iran?
Well, like the woman on the right side was saying, she could be thrown into jail or arrested just because of what she had on. Her skirt, exposed arms, her hair, come on. That's nowhere near what they do in America.
No. And it's been a long, long time since blacks were even treated that way. I'm not saying that blacks weren't treated bad in the past. I'd have my head in the sand if I was to say or believe that. But that's not happening today. As a matter of fact, there's as many white people being treated bad in America today as there are black people. And if you don't like that, too bad. That's not Ed the preacher talking. That's just Ed the opinion talking. There are white people that are treated horribly in certain areas of the country because they're white. I've been treated poorly in Richmond, Virginia, in a hospital because I was white. So don't tell me it don't happen. It happened to me. And if it happens to me, then it surely has happened to many, many, many people. So, you're right. That gets me going. And to belittle what is going on in Iran with that conversation, it's more than she should be ashamed of herself, which she's not.
No.
It's way worse than that. She should get fired for making statements like that.
And that video goes on and on and on and on, and they're still sitting there arguing about it. And as Whoopi Goldberg said multiple times, living in Iran is nowhere near as bad as being black in America. Yeah, okay. Maybe 200 years ago it was pretty rough for you guys, but you've been free for a long time now. I'm sure there was some persecution by the Democrats who created the Ku Klux Klan, the party you all worship and adore, but it's not like that now. Why? How dare you sit there and say it is?
Yeah. Well, here's a person that knows firsthand.
This older white guy comes up to me, pointing to my shirt, and he said, "Let me talk to you real quick." So I walk over there. I'm like, "What's up, man?" He said, "You shouldn't be wearing that shirt right now. You're going to offend a lot of people." I was like, "Who? Who am I going to offend?" He said, "Immigrants." I started laughing. I'm like, "I'm an immigrant. I support the president." He's like, "No, you're not." I was like, "Yeah, born and raised in Iran, man." He gets all confused and he's like, "Well, how about the soldiers, militaries being deployed to target protesters?" I was like, I like law and order too. I like stores that are not looted. I like taxi cabs that are not burned. I don't know about you. I support him on that. And he's like, "Well, a lot of people in the military don't. They're speaking up." They're walking away. And I was like, well, guess what, man? I'm a veteran too. And the first thing they teach you in the military that you obey the chain of command. And guess who's at the top of that chain? It's the commander in chief, the president of the United States. So I told him this. If you are talking about immigrants, you're wrong. You're talking about illegal immigrants. I spent 3 years in a refugee camp in Turkey, waited my turn with no source of education, no source of income, because we knew what was on the other side. And when we got here, we didn't raise the Iranian flag. We raised the American flag and the Texas flag, and we still do today. So you're not talking about immigrants. You're talking about illegal immigrants, those people who invaded this country. And anybody in the military that have a problem with this, or like this guy, or those foreigners that are raising the foreign flag, you all are more than welcome to get the hell out and go find another place.
Exactly. Boom!
Support our show by supporting our sponsors.
It's exactly right. And that's what we talked about all these protests in LA, that it makes no logical sense. You're in America illegally protesting, burning the American flag, burning down buildings, breaking windows, holding up the Mexican flag, refusing to go back to Mexico, the place you left from, but you hate America so badly. It makes no logical sense whatsoever.
Well, I seen something somewhere that said, that you've gotten the best of a Republican or a conservative when they say, if you don't like it, you can leave, because that's where they go to when they lose an argument. And I'm thinking, that ought to be the first thing we go to.
Because that's logical truth, not this make-believe fairy tale land they live in.
Absolutely. And again, we continue tonight. This must be the theme we didn't know about, is to show the difference between things, the difference between an immigrant and an illegal immigrant. I mean, listen to what he said. He spent 3 years in a Turkish camp before he could get in. That means he paid his dues and did it the right way.
He joined the military. He served military.
Yeah, he's a veteran, and he had perfect comebacks to that. Oh, what about the people in the military? Oh, well, I'm a veteran. I bet you I would love to see the look on the other guy's face when he was saying all that stuff back.
Oh, yeah. But probably like any other Democrat there. Oh, no. You're lying. They're normal, usual.
Well, there is a lot of stuff going on. Actually, I had an article about Whoopi Up. You showed the video, and that was a good thing. No, that's a good thing. There is a lot of in the one video, it mentioned, or it showed a picture of something that Mike Huckabee had sent to the president. And I wanted to read that to you.
Oh, it's nice.
It is, if it wasn't as good as it is, I wouldn't take the time to read it, but I'm going to read it from beginning to end. Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, Pennsylvania, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one, all capital letters, voice that matters. His, all capital letters, voice. I am your appointed servant in this land, and I am available for you, but I do not try to get in your presence, often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours, not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave, and I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you. Mike Huckabee, who is the United States ambassador to Israel. And I mean, those are special words right there.
Yeah. He's also the dad to the former Speaker, White House
press secretary.
Well, I can't remember her first name. Her last name was Sanders. She's now the governor of Arkansas.
Yes, Sarah Sanders.
Yep.
And she was very good at her job too.
She was awesome. She was really good.
And this is a side note, real quick. I find it funny that the left is now attacking Caroline Leavitt. They obviously know she's a threat now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got a couple Caroline Leavitt videos here.
Well, I didn't find the MAGA minute. We were gone for 2 or 3 hours this afternoon. That wasn't expected, and so I do not have that. So, yeah.
So here's what we're going to get to eventually, talking about the No Kings crap that was pulled the other day.
So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
I love it, Levitt.
Yeah.
That I hadn't seen that one.
And in lieu of having a Do Better Texas Jasmine Crockett segment, I've got Caroline Leavitt being questioned about Jasmine Crockett.
Really quick on Jasmine Crockett. She said, I believe, that Trump supporters are mentally ill before calling for bipartisan support against the president. Can you respond to that, especially considering she's a rising star in the Democrat Party right now?
She is a rising star. It's quite something to behold, actually. I hope that she continues to be a rising star for the Republican Party, at least. I think it's incredibly derogatory to accuse nearly 80 million Americans of mental illness. The last time I checked, Jasmine Crockett couldn't dream of winning such a majority of the public as President Trump did. And the America First movement, which President Trump has built, is filled of hardworking patriots, the forgotten men and women, business owners, law enforcement officers, nurses and teachers, and middle America, as we all know, from where you all grew up, outside of this beltway. That's who makes up this president's movement. And Jasmine Crockett should go to a Trump rally sometime, and she can see it for herself.
Yeah, apparently we're all mentally handicapped, I guess.
Yeah, I saw that earlier, and yeah, we think about it. If we were what they said about us, oh my goodness, we'd be pretty bad people.
The thing is, in going back to this No Kings thing, I got into an argument with somebody on Columbus Man the other day, and there was hundreds and hundreds, almost thousands downtown Columbus. No, there wasn't. You obviously don't know how to count. Oh, well, there was 5 million people okay, well, that's great. I'm glad 5 million people can get out and rah, 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 and Orange Man bad. Why didn't you guys come out and vote? Obviously the majority of Americans wanted Donald Trump. Less people than Donald Trump won. Harris lost. Obviously more people in America wanted Donald Trump. Where were these rah, 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 Orange Man bad, November 24th? Maybe you guys should have put up or shut up, come out and vote. Make your voice heard, but no, you just want to sit back and complain. Well, you lost. Cool. Sit back and complain. That makes no sense. And this No Kings movement, I found this literally the day after the No Kings movement came up. I'm going to take us out of here. Well, never mind. But it's from Disney. It's a new movie from Disney, put out by Beyonce or something, called Black is King. Now, I thought there was no kings. What happened to that?
Wow. Well, I don't think I saved it, but I seen a clip from back when Obama was president, and the left was encouraging him to be a king.
Yeah. But
Again.
I just found it so funny that the next day, 24 hours after the nation was swept by this No Kings protest, Disney comes out with a movie called Black is King. Liberal hypocrisy right there. I thought there were no kings. And I've got a video of Indianapolis, the No Kings protest, which it's not that big a deal, but there was a lot going on during those protests. There was a lot. Here is Salt Lake City.
Yeah, we're not. It's a rifle right here.
Hey, right there.
This guy, I just grabbed this from this guy. He's right there. Go get on the ground. Get out.
Video captured the moment a bystander flagged down police after a shooting at a No Kings protest in Salt Lake City on Saturday. According to police, officers found a man whom they later identified as Arturo Gamboa wearing black and crouching with a group of bystanders. He had a gunshot wound. Witnesses told Salt Lake City police that moments before, the man was holding an assault-style rifle in a firing position and running toward the No Kings protesters. This drew the attention of two so-called peacekeepers providing security for the event, with one firing 3 rounds in the crowd. One round hit Gamboa in the stomach, and another killed Arthur Falasa Alu, a bystander who was a renowned fashion designer who appeared on Project Runway. Authorities detained and questioned 2 peacekeepers and have not released details about the one who shot Alu. Gamboa, the man who police say was spotted carrying the rifle, was arrested on suspicion of murder. Asked by CNN if the person who shot Alu could face charges, police stated that their investigation is ongoing.
Now, the thing is that guy that was arrested had the gunshot wound and did the shooting. He was there protesting. He's a liberal.
And he had No Kings yard signs in his car. Yep. And here again is a difference. Liberals are not trying. They've accused him over and over and over of being a conservative.
Yeah.
Of being a Trump supporter.
And just like the shooting in Minnesota the day of the No Kings protest, where there were several, I don't know, they were government officials. 2 were killed and 2 were wounded. And then, well, it's a Trump supporter. No, it wasn't. They found the guy. He worked for the Democrat Party here in Minnesota. They found Democrat No Kings protest signs in his car. No, they tried pushing it off that some Republican went off the wagon and killed these people. No, he worked for the Democrat Party in Minnesota.
Well,
quickly, that went away. You don't hear about it anymore.
If that guy turns out to be a conservative Trump supporter, I know I will. I'm 100% you would.
Absolutely.
Say, prosecute him to the fullest extent of the law. We don't want to be associated with anybody like that. Nope. And you never hear liberals do that. Nope. As a matter of fact, they take up for the bad guys.
Absolutely.
They take up for Iran, of all places. Why would they take up for Iran? Iran is one of the worst places in the world as far as human rights. Oh, well, they're always for the human rights issues, for religious persecution. I mean, I listened to an interview on TBN Israel of a guy who is from Iran, and he talked about, really, people don't have any clue, but Iran is a very culturally upwards society, art and all kinds of those things, but nobody knows about it because everybody knows about the Ayatollahs and what they do. But he was looking forward to the time when the revolution in Iran, and I didn't say if, but when the revolution in Iran happens, because it may get put down. The Ayatollahs may have enough military strength to put down a revolution, but it's going to happen. It's been going to happen even before this ever took place. It may happen sooner than it was going to happen. But Iran is one of the worst places on the planet, and liberals are taking up for them.
Yeah.
You know, that goes well beyond Trump derangement syndrome. That just is insanity. To take up for countries that are horrible because you hate Donald Trump, there's no logic to that. There is zero logic to that. What else you got?
Well, let's see here. So everybody knows that the military parade happened on Saturday. I hope you watched. I did. It was amazing. It's really cool. But here is North Korea's take on it.
The capitalist pigs of America held a gaudy and vainglorious display of their dwindling military might this past weekend. The U.S. have not won a war since the USSR defeated Germany in 1945, and the U.S. celebrated this fact by shining all their best tanks and guns. Their inferior leader, pictured here looking old, confused and tired, sat next to an expensive prostitute and a drunk television host for the duration of the parade. In total, $40 million was spent on the parade by the debt-ridden failed state, shamefully done so at a time of increasing poverty in the country. Many have noted how pudgy and overweight the Trump looks at a time when Americans struggle for food. Unable to tolerate political dissent, the inferior leader's supporters shot dead an opposition politician in one city, while in other locations, a protester was shot and a follower of the cult leader attempted to drive his car into the crowd. The propaganda exercise was swallowed whole by the dull of mind and incurious of spirit. The helpless sheep believe themselves to be the envy of the world, but the world laughs in their faces.
Cool. They made fun of Trump being fat.
Yeah, and sitting next to an expensive prostitute. That was awesome.
And look at their leader.
Yeah, Pooh Bear.
He's a physical specimen that you would want to be like. Yeah, right. I was looking while she was talking. I think North Korea fired something like 10 missiles.
Yeah.
As a test this morning into maybe the South China Sea or somewhere. Actually, usually they fire them over land and into, I think, the Sea of Japan, because Japan and South Korea and somewhere else is always on high alert when that happens. And so that brings up the subject of picking sides. And China has been 5 flights at the minimum have flown in to Iran from China in the last week. Cargo planes that could be shipping stuff in, could be shipping people in, or could be doing the exact opposite, shipping things out. Maybe they don't want certain things found out, and maybe there is some people that are trying to get out, since Israel just happens to be assassinating people at a regular clip. So obviously, and it's no surprise that China would take Israel's or Iran's side.
Of course, so did Russia and Pakistan.
Yeah, Pakistan I was going to bring up. Pakistan made the threat of nuking Israel. Now, I find that interesting. Yeah. I believe that the biggest reason for that is, and I say I believe, I don't know this 100%, but I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Israel has a good relationship with India, and India and Pakistan are bitter enemies. If you remember just a couple of months back, that Trump basically helped negotiate a not a settlement, but a ceasefire between the two. They were going at it on the border for several days, and it was ugly. And so I just, that's kind of like almost doing something because you hate Trump. threatening Israel because you hate India.
Yeah. makes no logical sense to me.
Well, there's nothing in the world right now that's making logical sense. And we say that all the time. Your mom and I say it here amongst ourselves. I mean, simple things don't even make logical sense, much less things that could start World War III.
And here's something that I fell down the rabbit hole with yesterday that doesn't make sense either.
Did you know that when it happens, people are going to put Christmas lights up? When it happens, people are going to put Christmas lights up.
So what do they mean by when it happens? And I searched and searched and searched, and it took me a good long while. And there are thousands of these videos, people talking about how they're going to put Christmas lights up when it happens. And everybody be celebrating just like Christmas when it happens.
Now, I don't know. I've not seen that at all. And I'm going to make a prediction before you announce what that means.
Go ahead.
When Trump is assassinated.
Absolutely. And I thought that, but I wanted to go down the rabbit hole to make sure. And sure enough, about 10, 15 minutes in, somebody was explaining it. And this guy was saying whether he's assassinated or whether he dies of natural causes is the video I saw. So pray for Donald Trump, please. Please.
I have a video that I don't have saved, but I want to describe it. It's an Iranian girl removing their hijab. They took over their school and chant death to the dictator and the Islamic regime.
Wow.
You see, when I say there's going to be a revolution, there's going to be a revolution because that girl very well may die. There's a good chance that could happen, that she is killed.
I'm going to scoot up sunlight in my eye over here.
Yeah, I could see it. What's next?
Well, how about we have a laugh?
Sounds like a plan.
Did you know politics could turn into a middle school talent show? All you need is a catchy protest sign, a little bit of glitter, and an undeserved sense of entitlement. Welcome to Liberal Looney Tune Tuesday, only on Red, White, and True with Ed and Ronnie. From Harris to AOC, from LA to New York, common sense isn't so common anymore.
Hey, Ronnie's in the AI world.
The other day I sat down for about 2 hours and messed with it and played with it, and that's what I came up with. So, and I know it says Liberal Looney Tune Tuesday and today's Thursday, but you know, it is what it is. So, how many people here have heard of Lily Tino? Have you heard of him?
I don't think so.
Lily Tino was a male, got divorced or cheated on, dumped something, lost his mind, put on a dress, and decided it felt great. So he became Lily Tino. Now, Lily Tino is, if you scroll through TikTok at any time, you're going to see this guy, very clearly a guy sitting in a restaurant ordering some food. And when the guy comes, the server or waitress comes up and says, "Here you are, sir. Is there anything else I can have you for, sir? You know, get you." This Lily Tino goes, "Oh, that's like a knife through my heart," and plays this big sob story because he's actually a she or whatever. Well, Lily Tino was just spent some time in Disney World, and here is what this guy is talking about at Disney World.
I think Disney's going to ban me for this one. My corn dog is still intact. I'm not happy about that, but sadly it takes a long time to turn a corn dog into a inverted corn dog. I do hair removal every week for 2 hours straight.
Now, I'm not going to keep playing that because it gets really disgusting. And this guy cuts this corn dog sitting at a table at Disney, and you could hear kids in the background, and he cuts this corn dog and tells everybody what's going to happen to him by the end of the year. But this Lily Tino, the liberal Looney Tune, here's another version, another video.
Hey gang, it's your favorite mystery solver, Velma. How's it going? I bet this masked person of mystery is up to no good. I know last time we found a really...
But there's your liberal Looney Tune Tuesday. That guy...
How dare he imitate Scooby-Doo?
I had another video of him but he was taking selfies. He went to Disney with his mom and literally went to every bathroom he could, every woman's restroom he could, and was taking selfies of himself in the bathroom. Now, he stands up and defends himself, saying that, there are celebrities that do that. And he shows about 30 pictures of celebrities who took selfies in the bathroom. That's all well and fine because the celebrities are alone. However, this guy, there was women, there was children behind him that he was taking pictures of while he was standing to pee in the women's restroom. And this guy is so hated right now that even transgender people and homosexual people are calling this guy out and telling him to shut up and rein it in, pretty much. So,
well, I'm not a fan of this next gentleman at all, but he sure makes some good points about liberals and their lies.
Number one, Democrats say we're kicking poor people off Medicaid. Here's the reality. CBO numbers. 4.8 million of those numbers are from able-bodied adults choosing not to work. They're not being kicked off. They're being told to work or volunteer or look for work. That directly contradicts what was just said by Ms. Schreier, by the way. Here's another number. 1.6 million are duplicative enrollees who are enrolled in 2 states at the same time. Here's another number. 1.2 million individuals, they're not even eligible for coverage in the first place, just according to the laws that we have. Another 1.4 million people are illegal immigrants. That's not exactly the narrative they've been spinning, is it? Number two, Democrats say we're taking away substance abuse treatment. That is just false. This bill specifically exempts individuals with substance use disorders, full stop. Number three, Democrats say we're cutting Medicaid. Here's the reality. An actual analysis by CBO Medicaid baseline projection shows Medicaid spending will still grow by 6.5% above 2021 projections, even after this $800 billion in savings. So let me ask you, how can one honestly claim we're cutting a program that is actually still growing? Just intellectually. How can you claim that? Asking for a friend. Number four, Democrats say there aren't illegal aliens in Medicaid. Here's the reality. We know states are doing this. California uses a managed care organization tax scheme to shift costs to the federal government. That frees up about $5.2 billion in state funds. California then uses that money to pay for Medicaid coverage for illegal immigrants, skirting the federal ban. This bill closes the loophole by cutting federal funding by 10% for states that use Medicaid or other state-based programs to cover illegal immigrants. Vast majority of Americans would agree with that. Number five, Democrats say we're causing steep state budget cuts by changing provider tax and state-directed payment rules. Here's the reality. State-directed payments in Medicaid managed care arrangements have actually grown by about 62% between February 2023 and August of 2024. These payments do have a place in supporting our hospitals. Texas uses them to support our most needy. But you have to have common sense. You can't let them grow out of control and let them grow indefinitely. All we're doing is freezing the provider tax and state-directed payments. That's it. It's a freeze. This will preserve payments for hospitals that need them. So guess what? Again, no cuts. The sky is not falling. Look, in summary, this bill is nothing like Democrats claim. Nothing. It's past 3 a.m., and I've watched my colleagues make false statement after false statement for the sole purpose of scaring the most vulnerable in our society. Democrats have forced disabled Medicaid recipients to travel to D.C. and crowd the committee room for nothing but cynical political theater. And my message to all of you who are tricked into being here, guess what? Your Medicaid benefits aren't at risk under this bill. Full stop. They're using you, and they're lying to you.
Yeah, he's got it right. And like you said, I don't like him either. Crenshaw is his last name?
Yeah. He's a Republican, and at times I have liked him.
Yeah, but he's a rhino. He's the definition of a rhino.
Yes, he is. Which surprised me that ended up being the case with him.
Yeah, me too. Because I wanted to like him. He's a veteran.
Yeah.
You know, he seemed to have a cool straight head, but no.
You mean it's possible to like something that somebody says that you really disagree with most of the time? That actually is possible to happen?
Well, yeah.
Oh, because
we're not Democrats, though.
Yeah. If Trump derangement syndrome is but since it's such a real thing, maybe if they just tried that a little bit.
Yeah.
So again, he said it was 3 a.m, and he looked like it was 3 a.m.
Yeah, he looked haggard.
And
crazy, kind of like mine.
Yeah, well, I'll be nice. Not towards you, towards Crenshaw. I'll be nice. Let's take a breath here for a second, and let me find where I'm looking. Man, we've been going it for.
I can show planes real quick while you're looking.
Okay.
And let's see, share screen, flight radar. Just wanted to throw this up here because I thought it was kind of interesting. But this is a British plane, just left Washington, D.C., and it's headed to Geneva. It's pretty cool. So obviously they're in Washington, D.C. talking. I got asked today about the Doomsday plane. There's been several articles about the Doomsday plane. And like I said, the Doomsday plane, there are 4 in the United States fleet. One is always in the air, which right now, if it is in the air, it does not have its transponder on because I just went to all these planes. But there's always one ready to go. There's always one in a secure bunker, and there is always one in maintenance, and they rotate up. So don't be worried because all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, there's a Doomsday plane in the air. No, it's all right. Now, like I said, if you see 4 Doomsday planes, then something happened. But real quick, I wanted to show this. This has got a filter right now that is showing only military planes. There's a couple going on over here, but when you take it off and put it on all planes, this is flight traffic in the world right now. And they're avoiding Iran like the plague. These are all commercial planes. There are some military in there, but they're avoiding this area like the plague.
Wow. Well, I read where 2 of the major carriers here in the States had grounded all of the flights to Iran. Goodness, look at that.
Yeah, this is
Now,
all flight traffic in America right now.
I think one of the concerns about the Doomsday flights was that one was supposedly in the D.C. area.
Yeah, they're generally in the D.C. area.
So that's not anything different than or out of the ordinary.
No. But now you can get on this flight radar and it's free. And this is what I use to track flights and stuff. I pay like $12 a year to be able to switch and track just military planes. You'll see a Doomsday plane in the air almost all the time, but flying to DC or out of Camp David, it says Camp Springs on here, or over Area 51, off at Air Force Base, over here in Dayton, there's a big Air Force Base. That's no big deal. That happens all the time. They've always got one plane in the air somewhere. But like I said, if you see all 4 and they're all flying to Virginia, there's bunkers in Virginia, Utah, something like that. Yeah, okay, maybe we got a problem. Yeah, that's just fear mongering, talking about the Doomsday plane being in the air. There's always one in the air. Don't get worried about it.
We've still got quite a bit to go over, so let's just take a deep breath.
We're taking a short break, but don't go anywhere. Ed and Ronnie will be right back in just a few seconds. Thank you so much for supporting Red, White, and True. Did you know that your interactions with us on social media are vital?
If people really want to know what's going on, listen to Ed and Ronnie Tuesdays on Red, White, and True, streaming on Facebook.
That's right.
That was actually an accident. I was deleting the Crenshaw video because I like to try to get rid of them as soon as I can so that it clears out the space.
I do that too.
When I deleted it, my cursor was on that one. And so we didn't finish with the old guy talking, but it kind of fit in,
It worked.
Let me just use that to say, we sure do appreciate all of the support we get. Red, White, and True as a brand, we want to continue with building that brand in itself. And I say that to ask you to help us. We are close. I haven't looked in the last couple of days to see where we were less than 10, needing 10 follows on our Facebook page. But I also want to build our YouTube. I want to build our X. And see, right now we are on all of those, but none of them are on the Red, White, and True brand, not bland, brand. And I think if we're going to be taking seriously, we're going to need to get that brand going.
We are stuck at 93.
Well, we were stuck at 82 for a long time. So we love what we do, and I know that there are a lot of you out there that listen to us and appreciate what we do, and you know, like Ronnie doing the flight tracker there, and you know that helps people and gives, when they hear that the doomsday plane is not doing anything out of the ordinary, it brings comfort to some people. And so we need our brand to build. At some point, we're going to need to solicit some funds, because there are expenses that will be coming. The better we do things, they're going to be expenses. We're doing things kind of primitively right now, and you know, you don't see any nice microphones in front of us or anything like that. You know, things that would enhance what it is that we're doing. And as I mentioned early, the studies are showing that people follow things like Red, White, and True. You know, we Mary Bailey just posted, "We got power. We got power." That's the third family, the third and final family of folks that have power. As a matter of fact, about 2 hours ago, Ronnie was over here at our house because they had been without power for so long. I wish he would have let us know he was sitting at home in his hot house, and we would have had him over here much sooner.
Absolutely.
It's all right. We still had hot water, oddly enough, so I got to take a hot shower and wipe all the sweat off of me. I was good.
And you didn't work today, not because of anything other than there was no power at your place of business.
Nope.
So
couldn't charge my power tools, and hell, I couldn't see to begin with. So
we haven't talked about riots. Amazing how things get quiet. And I think we mentioned this Friday, or whichever day we were on, the riots. And actually, in some places, the riots are worse now than they have been all along. Portland is going crazy. And I think we just need to trade another country and send Portland to them, and we'll take something in return. You know, we'd sell it for pennies on the dollar, because Portland, I don't know, fill in the blanks for me, Ronnie. Portland.
Never been a fan of Portland. You know, they're just like any other blue state, you know, blue city. People, I had a video and I couldn't tell if it was real or not, but this woman, and it even said at the bottom satire, so that's why I didn't show it, but this woman was saying that she had just received her check from protesting, and she said that it was she found it out on Craigslist. She signed up, was immediately accepted. She went out and protested for 3.5, 4 hours and got $4,700 from the Trump administration. Now, that makes no sense to me. The Trump administration did not pay protesters. So,
no.
You know, all this protesting is just, it's dumb. It's dumb. Yeah, you've got the right to do it. And yeah, I support your right to do it. But, all over Facebook this last week, if you said anything that didn't line up with their views or their values or how they feel, you were Satan incarnate. And, everything was Donald Trump's fault. I even saw today that they said that it was Donald Trump's fault that we got hit by a storm last night. Yeah, I didn't have power for 24 hours. So that's Donald Trump's fault. Orange man.
That must be a local liberal right there.
Yeah, one of the local liberal Looney Tunes on Columbus Man or whatever on Facebook. But I don't know. I'm trying to take everybody with a grain of salt because, yeah, you've got the right to protest and do all that. I had the right to protest when we did the Donald Trump protest 5-6 years ago downtown. It's the stupidity and the violence that takes it too far, and the stupidity is ridiculous. And Facebook might silence this later, but here's one of the stupid people on the right.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today.
Now, I'm not going to lie. The first time I watched that, I laughed my head off. But then I started thinking about it. That's what they call rolling coal with a diesel engine. So if you ever hear somebody talk about rolling coal, and I mean, they were just standing there. They weren't in the street. They, leave them alone. But I don't agree with that guy.
There's better ways to do things.
Yeah.
When you stoop to the other side's level, you're right. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it feels good. But it's not the right thing to do.
No.
And I'm going to say, sometimes you're going to laugh. Your mom's sitting over here laughing. And
I actually come across the TikTok, one of the TikToks you posted where I was talking about the division of America is complete. And there were several trolls on there. Oh, America's not divided. Really? Put on a MAGA hat and walk into Walmart. I guarantee you somebody's going to say something to you. I guarantee you somebody's going to look at you sideways or be mean at you, But if somebody walked in there with a Harris hat, I'm going to laugh at them, but I'm not going to say mean things to them. I'm not going to flip them off or anything like that. I mean, usually if I'm driving and somebody with a Harris bumper sticker can't figure out how to drive, I'd make some comment about stupid liberals or something like that. But so, the division of America, it is, everything's divided, everything is divided. And that's what's so bad anymore. I mean, there was people on TikToks that I was scrolling through yesterday talking about, well, I'm not going to sign up to or volunteer to fight in Donald Trump's war in Iran. And, come on. We're all Americans here.
I've seen that you have a clip for this, but it's kind of like Ted Cruz saying there are not going to be boots on the ground in Iran. I mean, you can never say never, but we don't want to take over Iran.
No.
I mean, if we wanted to take over Iran, we would have to have boots on the ground. You can't win that kind of war from the air. As in, Israel can't bomb Gaza into oblivion, or else they wouldn't be putting their troops in harm's way on the ground. But if you see, here's the key. You got to know just a little bit before becoming a stupid liberal in order to not sound stupid. There's no way, and Ted Cruz said this, there's no way that we're going to have boots on the ground in Iran. And I know that for argument's sake, you never say never, that you can't guarantee that. Well, you can't guarantee much of anything in life.
Absolutely.
But there would be no reason. Actually, there's no reason for Israel to put boots on the ground in Iran. Israel doesn't want to take over Iran. They want to stop them from having a bomb that could annihilate the entire country.
I mean, that's absolutely it. You don't give a 5-year-old a loaded handgun you would do everything you can to take that loaded handgun away from that 5-year-old. No, I'm not equating all the people in Iran to the mentality of a 5-year-old, but you really have to look at their leadership right now. Their leadership, they don't have the mentality of a 5-year-old. They're grown adults, but they hate us. They hate Israel. They hate anybody who's not Muslim. You don't want to give them a nuclear weapon. I don't want anybody to have nuclear weapons. I don't like it. And people were joking, World War II, we dropped a mobile sun on Japan twice, or did it once and then did it again to make sure they got the hint. Yeah, haha, hooray USA. But we killed a lot of people with those. Nuclear weapons are no joke.
No, and while I'm not upset with the U.S. for doing that, I just hope we never ever have to do it again.
Yeah, I don't want to do it again.
And I certainly don't want the leading sponsor of terrorism in the world. Did that sink into anybody? The leading sponsor of terrorism in the entire world with a nuclear bomb. Look, liberals, you can hate Trump, you can hate me, you can hate Ronnie, you can hate every Christian on the planet, but use your brain for just a couple of seconds here. And don't take up for Iran having a nuclear bomb. Please. I mean, seriously. That is like what Ronnie just said, handed a loaded firearm to a 5-year-old and basically encourage them to play cowboys and Indians with their friends.
Yeah.
Please. I mean, that. Please, let me beg you.
I had a video I was going to show, and it's got a guy, and he's got a poster sign, and it's got on the one side picture of a random blonde girl with a MAGA hat. And on the other side is literally Osama bin Laden. And he walked around and asked all these people who they would rather let into the country. And every single person said Osama bin Laden. Well, I know he's Osama bin Laden, and I know what he did, but this one guy, he pointed at the girl with the MAGA hat and said, she's a terrorist. He's not. Come on, just because you hate the orange man, you cannot seriously sit there and tell me that you are fine with the leading terrorist, what would you say, the leading provider of terrorism in the world, with having a nuclear weapon. And that's.
Well, they're talking right now about providing what they have to the Houthis.
Yeah.
And the Houthis have no filter. I mean, they shoot at ships that'll shut down the entire sea right there. They shoot at Israel from a distance and don't care. We bombed the crap out of them for a couple of weeks solid, and they're still kicking. Yeah. And now, see, in order to get rid of the Houthis, there would probably have to be boots on the ground.
Oh, yeah. But Israel can't do it because all their nuclear facilities are inside of mountains, underground. We're the only ones in the world with the bunker busting bombs. We have 3 separate ones. I watched a video on it earlier. We've got one that'll reach them and take them out. And to me, that's the only way that Israel is wanting us to be involved, is because we have the technology. They do not. And I don't see Donald Trump doing more than just using those bombs to take out their nuclear weapons.
I told that to somebody yesterday. The only way I see us getting involved is with the bunker buster bombs, the Moabs, mother of all bombs, or MOPS. I forget what that acronym stands for. Mobile something, but what I foresee, if we get involved, that we go in, we do that at that one site, the one site in particular. If there are others that need it, but then I expect us to get out and let Israel mop up the rest.
Yeah.
And I think that's a solution right there, because they can't allow that nuclear facility to stay. Just what they've already done will not, it may set them back, but it will not eliminate the nuclear threat. They have to get rid of that one site. And they have that site I forget how many feet underground, but the only way to wipe it out is with the bunker busters.
Yeah, it has to be flown by the B-2 stealth bombers, and they're the only ones big enough to carry that thing, and that's the only way. And Trump said today that he's going to take 2 weeks to decide, and that's all well and fine. But what people don't understand is how the British originally found out that Iran was 2 weeks away from having a functioning nuclear weapon. And later that day is when Israel attacked them. Now they're stopping. What they did originally, or Israel, was decapitated their leadership. Perfect. But of course, within 12 hours, they got retaliated against. And like you said earlier, they're hitting they're not ours, but they're hitting Israel's hospitals and stuff. You know, they're not giving warning. They're just launching. And I saw a video earlier. Did you see where the Golden Dome actually failed and attacked itself?
Oh, no, I missed that.
Yeah. In one of the attacks last night, I believe, the Golden Dome, which is essentially it's missile interceptors. So and a missile comes in, they shoot a missile and it boom blows up in the air. But it shot a bunch up in the air and they turned around right back down and hit that missile site and blew it out. So,
well, nothing is 100%, and they've actually just introduced a new missile defense system that they used for the first time in this conflict. And you know, we actually have American boots on the ground in Israel with the missile defense system that is ours.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's about 1,000 troops in Israel that are with that project. But even when all of that works properly, there's still the danger of shrapnel that are from the bombs that have been, you know, maybe they're not going to hit the ground and explode, but, you know, big pieces of metal fly into the ground are dangerous. I also heard that they had not, that not one Israeli soldier had been killed in the missile blasts coming from Iran. Every person that has been killed by Iran with missiles have been civilians.
Yep. That's what I've heard too.
And go back to what we started with, the difference between Iran and Israel. Iran is killing civilians, and Iran kills their own civilians too. We talked about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I want to, I can't tell if I had one of these in a Charlie Kirk video, and I think this may be down in your area. See,
just like Donald Trump, the first.
No, that's not it. I bet I didn't download it.
That one was mine. That was it's like a compilation, Charlie Kirk.
Well, go ahead and play that.
Okay.
Just like Donald Trump, the first people that Nazis went after were trans people and immigrants, and you fail to see the parallel.
Do you have a dog?
I do have a dog.
So did Hitler. Are you a Nazi? What's so funny? I keep getting the same question worded word for word. Do you guys coordinate this ahead of time?
I think it's just common sense.
No, I think you guys must have like a group chat of all the guys that don't have girlfriends.
Well,
okay, how many genders are there?
how many society wants to decide?
So unlimited.
Sure.
Can I be a bobcat?
The Holy Spirit brought me here to challenge you to a gentleman's fist fight right here in front of this whole crowd.
I would hate to hospitalize you in front of 2,000 people.
Are you married?
Yes, with 2 beautiful children. I could tell you're not married. You voting for Kamala?
I am.
What is her...
Free speech? Free speech?
Yeah, they have the freedom of speech to boo you. That's right. Are white people represented fairly in the National Basketball Association?
Who cares? What?
I think that it should, by law, half of the NBA should be white.
Great, fine.
And the product would suck.
I love him.
He wants to whoop that old man. We've seen that video.
Yeah, I shared that one before.
Yeah, here's the one. I just now downloaded it. This is an amazing positive video.
Can you
please explain to everyone out here what Jesus stood for, and especially the qualities of love, how to love your neighbor even if they don't agree with you.
So what is your name again?
Talise.
Talise, that's a beautiful question. I'm glad you came up to ask it. But I want to also just add something, because you're right. Jesus fully embodied two things simultaneously that showed his divine and his godly nature, because not that Jesus said good things. Jesus is Lord, Christ is King, and Jesus is God, on top of just being a guy with a lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
So John 8, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, best embodies both Christ's mercy and love, but also his commitment to truth. And sometimes in the modern gospel, we overemphasize the grace and we underemphasize the truth.
Yeah.
And so we are far too willing to say, hey, Jesus loves everybody, but we don't get to the second part of the conversation that says Jesus doesn't want you to live in sin. So this is, in John 8, it's best embodied, right? Almost every Christian in this audience will be able to tell you the first part of this, which is a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees are standing around with rocks, and they're about to stone the prostitute woman. And Jesus comes up and says, let the first among you without sin cast the first stone. And everyone starts dropping the rocks. But what comes next shows that Christ is not just grace-focused, he's simultaneously truth-focused. He goes up to the woman who had a career in selling herself for sex and said, sin no more. Now, imagine today how much trouble you would get in if you would go up to somebody and say, stop sinning. Oh, you're being too judgmental. No, you're actually being Christ-like. So Jesus stood. He was 100% grace and truth. And that tension is very hard in a modern world, because we want to overemphasize grace when in reality Christ loves us too much to have us continue to live in sin. He wants us to try to elevate our actions to glorify God in all that we do.
Wow.
Yeah, now usually the videos that are done are people that are being stupid with Charlie, as in the one you just showed, multiple stupid people. I bet you liberals think they use the word stupid a lot.
We tend to.
Fits. My dad always said, if the shoe fits, wear it.
Right. So
we don't get the ones like that as many as we do the others, but I loved, he kind of perked up when she said that. You could just see, it was refreshing, I guess, is kind of the best way to put that. What else you got? Let's go ahead and finish what we got.
Well, I got JD Vance and Sean Ryan. They did an interview, and it's pretty much falls in line with what we've been saying.
Let's talk about how close we are to potential World War III.
Way too close.
How could this end up in World War III?
I think a couple of different ways, right? I think the most likely and the most dangerous scenario is Iran and Israel right now. What if in North Israel, a bunch of Iranian-backed militias start killing thousands of Israeli civilians? So the Israelis invade, do the Iranians counterattack, and now you have Israel, Iran in a regional conflict. And then the final thing, man, is China wants Taiwan, right? Everything that we have tells us the Chinese want Taiwan. America, I think, has left Taiwan in a really crappy position because we've sent all our weapons to Ukraine. The Taiwanese, I don't know that they could repel a Chinese invasion right now.
The scary thing about that was videotaped September 11th, 2024. And exactly what he was talking about is going on right now.
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many sabers that are rattling right now, all over the place. They've been talking about China invading Taiwan decades. I mean, a long time. And usually with something like that, eventually it's going to happen, or at least it's going to be attempted.
Yeah.
And, China keeps positioning themselves. Interestingly enough, they don't get into conflicts, actual battle type conflicts. That they have their ways of doing things, but they're not in, like Russia in war with Ukraine. They're not in the Middle East in a fighting mode, but I kind of look at them as like a snake in the grass. They're slithering around, and they're waiting to attack, but they're still slithering.
Oh yeah.
And, but so many different, Pakistan. I'm not surprised that happened, but it caught me off guard a little bit. That's not one of the Muslim countries that I would have thought would be yelling about Israel. They're a Muslim country. There are a lot of not nice people there.
Yeah.
But that one caught me off guard. Now, I've got one more video personally. And we talked earlier about how a conservative can disagree with someone, but still like them. Or this is a very, very, very conservative addressing Netanyahu. And if you're on the left, you'll say, well, that's because this woman is a nut. But let's listen to what she has.
Congresswoman Green, you have been a voice of reason and America First policy. Tell us how you see this conflict between Israel and Iran.
Matt, I see it just as you do, and you laid that out so well. That's the America First message, but it's also the truth that the American people have woken up to. We've watched for decades propaganda news. I'll call out Fox News and the New York Post. They're known to be the neocon network news. We have propaganda news on our side, just like the left does. And the American people have been brainwashed into believing that America has to engage in these foreign wars in order for us to survive. And it's absolutely not true. Prime Minister Netanyahu said, I saw on video, he said today that America first is America dead. And that sounds like a threat to me. And I completely disagree with him on that. In order for America to not be dead, it's to stay America first. And this is what the American people want. It is not anti-Semitic to say that we do not want to go to war against Iran or any other country. That is not anti-Semitic at all. It's actually rational, it's sane, and it's loving to people all over the world. A Middle Eastern war will pull America back 20 years, just like you showed in your intro for your show. It's exactly the lies that we were told after 9/11, and many people know it's not true. So I'm completely opposed to this war. Of course, we don't want to see the people in Israel bombed, but they're only being bombed because Israel attacked Iran first. And that's the truth that we need to be talking about. And Matt, I want to add on one more thing that I think is incredibly important, because Fox News and all these other news stations are not talking about it. Last week on Thursday, they held a vote in the Knesset, and Netanyahu only won by 2 votes, because the polling is showing that if an election was held today, he would lose. What he's doing is not popular among the people in Israel. They are tired of war. They are so devastated after October 7th. But they are tired of war. And that vote happened last Thursday. And then Friday, Israel attacked Iran. That's why the bombs are falling. And it seems very political. And you and I have seen those types of things before.
So with what she had to say there, I agreed with about half.
Yeah.
And you know as well as I do that MTG is what she is referred to as, is about that way. You agree with about half of what she's, and what you agree with her on, you usually are, one is usually like, oh, she's spot on with that part.
I like her. She's a little brash sometimes. Like I just had a video earlier, or not a video, but a picture earlier of that Saturday shooting in Minnesota where the lawmakers were shot, and she decided to run out into her backyard, and she wasn't wearing much, but had some camo netting, and she went to shoot her big gun, and they were kind of knocking her on it, but she gets her point across.
Well, we didn't even mention that with so much going on. That's another one where I got two different thoughts on this. One thing you can prove is that the two lawmakers that were one killed and one shot numerous times were Democrats. There's no disputing that. But there is question over whether or not the person that did that was a conservative or a liberal. I've heard both sides of that. And I can't sit here and tell you I know what he was. Here's what I know. He's a murderer.
Yeah.
He's a murderer and an attempted murderer. But it's kind of good not to know. That way you can just say he's a murderer. Not that he's a conservative murderer or a liberal murderer, because when it comes to murder, their political background really doesn't matter to the family that lost their loved one. I mean, I'm sure that with those two liberals that were killed, their family would be extremely upset that a conservative would do that. So what do you know about that situation?
Well, I haven't heard much about it, but I just pulled it up just to make sure I got my facts right on it. Okay. They captured the guy. His name is Vance Bolter. They captured him. He actually worked for the Democratic Party in Minnesota. He was upset over something getting fired or something. But he was a member of the left. But of course, immediately once that happened on the day of the No Kings protest, everybody said, well, he's a member of the right. He's a conservative. He's a MAGA guy. No, he's not. Take a breath. Do your research. So yeah, he worked for the Democratic Party, and it was some bad blood there that caused it. But I have not heard that they caught him. I knew they were looking for him, but I didn't know they caught him till just now.
Yeah.
He got a list of 45 officials that he was going after. So he had a kill list.
Yeah, he did.
All Democrats.
See, that's where the other side says, well, then he had to be a conservative. Huh. You know, again, we say this fairly regular, but had he been a conservative, we would have said, I hope he gets the death penalty. Mm-hmm. Because that's what he deserves. You go to somebody's house, shoot him in cold blood, you deserve the death penalty.
Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you sit on, period. Doesn't matter.
I don't care what side of the aisle the person sits on. Guilty is guilty. When you get to heaven or when you get to the pearly gates and judgment day, God's not going to say, were you Republican or Democrat?
Is that your God voice?
Well, close. I guess I don't have a God voice. But Jesus isn't going to defend you. See, Jesus is going to be our defender if we followed him. And he's not going to say, oh, give him a break. He's a Republican.
No.
It just ain't going to happen. No, don't send him straight to hell. He was a Democrat. It ain't going to work that way. It's my individual relationship with Jesus that's going to decide where we go and what happens on Judgment Day. But as far as the murders there, I just assume not know, because as a conservative Christian who does not care, I'm saying this very politically correctly, that does not care for the liberal agenda, when I hear that liberals are out doing that, that infuriates me. If I would hear it was a conservative, I would say, or a Christian, that they don't represent the conservatives, They definitely don't represent the Christians. And there you go. You know, put him on trial, find him guilty, string him up, do whatever. And, you know, the guy's admitted it. He had a manifesto. They say that he admitted it as soon as he was captured. And, you know, he'll still be alive 20 years from now going through appeals processes probably. And
I've got it right here. State records confirm Bolter's past appointments to the governor's workforce development board, first under Democratic Governor Mark Dayton, and then by current Democrat Governor Tim Walz.
I was hoping you'd say Tampon Tim.
Well, speaking of that, I actually had a video, and it's AI, so I didn't show it, but it was Tampon Tim talking about why he put tampons in women's restrooms or in men's restrooms. And he says, well, I went in and it was sitting there and I was kind of curious. So I tried it and it put a little pep in my step. So I figured all men needed that. So.
Well, now, let's be transparent. I hate that, you know, being transparent. I hate that phrase, but I like to use the word honest. Let's just be honest with everyone right now. You and I have had multiple conversations about AI and how difficult it is as we're looking through material to use. I mean, some AI just stands out. There's no doubt that's AI. But we work really hard to make sure that we're covering legit things, that we're not giving you. There's some AI stuff that is good, even when it's AI produced. As far as, I mean, obviously let's see.
If people really want to know what's going on, listen to Ed and Ronnie Tuesdays on Red, White, and True, streaming on Facebook.
That's AI. Yeah. But we're big enough to admit that's AI. But we work hard to make sure that we're not putting things out there that are just AI that is being used as real. And there's a lot of that out there. There's especially a lot of pictures out there.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know, for anybody that questions us on that, there was Cindy Williams. She said, right, probably probing his step. Not.
Tampon Tim using the tampons?
Oh, I'm not quite sure. That just came up 2 minutes ago, so probably is talking about Tampon Tim. Yeah. That is not Cindy Williams, the actress that played Shirley on Laverne and Shirley. That is Cindy Clay Williams, who has been in here many times. She got married and became Shirley from Laverne and Shirley. No, she didn't.
Ronnie's like, who's Shirley from Laverne and Shirley?
Oh, do you know Laverne and Shirley?
Surely you can't be serious.
And don't call me Shirley.
And don't call me Shirley. That is not accurate. And she said, I meant pep in his step.
I feel better with the tampon question.
And she said, I can be an actress. I bet we could ask her husband and he would tell us that she could probably be an actress. So we'll move right on.
I don't know that we want to know.
Well, I wasn't talking like that. Again, we take what we do seriously. At the very least, if something is AI and we know it, we're going to let you know that it's AI generated. Unless it's obviously like the video there, then I'm going to have to ignore Cindy. She says he's a bigger actor than me. We're going to let you know that we're using AI and take credit or not take credit in a way that we should.
I hope this isn't AI because it made me laugh.
Okay.
Had some moves there.
I love that. That is, they are known as the Savannah Bananas. And Amy sent me a picture. I think that exact same video, actually. And you put it on here. And if people know me, they would probably say, I can't believe you love the Savannah Bananas. Because actually, I am a baseball purist. I like playing old school baseball. I can't stand all of the analytics that they've got as part of the game now and all of that. But I think the Savannah Bananas are awesome. I mean, they're athletic. I mean, if you watch, an outfielder will be going to catch a ball and turn a flip in the air as he's catching the baseball. They are so athletic. The umpires join in on the stuff. They have special rules that make things go quicker. You know, it's not going to be a 3-hour event when you go see them. And I love the Savannah Bananas. And the first time I get a good chance to go see them, I plan on doing it.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much all I got for the night.
Well, I was looking to see if there is anything else here. And I don't see anything pressing or, of course, we are at an hour and 42 minutes. So this is by far, other than our initial red, white, and true, which we hadn't even called it that yet. We just named it after that.
Yeah.
On what was it? November 5th of last year, we had our first, and it was 3 hours. We won't go.
It was longer than that. It was longer than that.
Yeah,
we started. We started at 7, and we didn't give up until about 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I was going to say the 3 came in. I remember being up at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So that was the 3, not 3 hours. But this is number 2 on the list as far as length, and we had a lot. And we still could go. We could go find more news that's going on that we didn't cover.
I deleted probably 15 videos I could have shown.
Well, hopefully next week we'll be back on Tuesday. Usually, I can say this now, when we are on days other than Tuesday, except for situations like this, we are on because there is something major, usually negative, like bombings and riots and things like that. When we break in and have a special episode, but we like to do the special episodes, but we don't want anything to happen that is what makes us usually be here. And by the way, I don't know if your mom is watching the video, but you look like you have a halo over your head.
Oh yeah, it's the light up here. It's got a
yeah. Oh yeah.
I've got an idea.
Yep.
My son is an angel.
Well, I've got the Constitution right here, and it's shiny and glossy, so that's why.
Well, as our exit video tonight, our outro, as it's called on our studio here, it's a Christian baseball player explaining some things. So say goodnight, Ronnie.
Good night, everybody. Appreciate you being here.
Say good night, Amy.
Good night, Amy.
And Tuesday, we plan to be here. If something comes up between now and Tuesday, we'll be here as well. So until we see you again, go out and do the right thing.
Noticed Psalm 16:8 is part of your bio. Will you tell me a little bit about that?
It's just something I kind of try to live by. I keep the Lord in my mind always because He's at my right hand. I like that because I'm a right-handed pitcher, and I think like keeping the Lord at your right hand is always important because He's the one who gets you through everything. And I was raised in a Christian home where my mom really kind of like stuck that into us, and then once I got my a little bit older, I really took on my own relationship with God seriously and. Kind of give all glory to Him, and kind of like I said, it's like keeping Him at your right hand through things. It's just like getting on the mound. It can be stressful, it can be hard at times, and knowing He's right there with you, it's calming.